Twende. Hii ni muziki bila jaso, yani una swing tu pole pole. Hapa tu. Nyathi tober laketar pamba, todendeo maze kwayo namba, iketho wiya, imoro chunya, iketho wiya, atoti moro chunya. Kwa penzi lako nimechizi kama wazimu kule sokoni, umeniwekea hirizi mwingine sioni. Kwa penzi lako nimechizi kama wazimu kule sokoni, umeniwekea hirizi hata mwingine sioni. Oh 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 oh. Unani Jabera Dwari sechete, Jabera Paris sechete, Jabera Dwari sechete, Jabera Paris sechete, 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 sechete. Jaber Adwari sechete, Jaber Paris sechete, Jaber Adwari sechete, Jaber Paris sechete, sechete. Oh mama, sechete, sechete. Oh chérie, sechete, sechete. Nice. Now try this. Kanyaga nyuma. Kanyaga nyuma. Nice. Aha. When I saw you, I was afraid to meet you. When I met you, I was afraid to kiss you. When I kissed you, I was afraid to love you. Now that I love you, I'm afraid to lose you. Kwa penzi lako nimechizi kama wazimu kule sokoni, umeniwekea hirizi hata mwingine sioni. Kwa penzi lako nimechizi kama wazimu kule sokoni, mama, hirizi hata mwingine sioni. Oh 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 oh. Jabera Dwari sechete, Jabera Paris sechete, Jabera Dwari sechete, Jabera Paris sechete, sechete. Oh mama, sechete, sechete. Oh chérie, sechete, sechete. Jabera Dwari sechete, Jabera Paris sechete, Jabera Dwari sechete, Jabera Paris sechete, sechete. Oh mama, sechete, sechete. Oh chérie, sechete, sechete. Aparie, Adwarie, Aparie, Agombie, Aparie, Adwarie, Aparie, Agombie, Aparie, Adwarie, Aparie, Agombie, Aparie, Adwarie, Aparie, agombie. Thank you. Kwa mtindo huo tuendelee ama tuache? Nataka mnipatie energy na nitawatoa wajamaa, twendeni. Tuendelee ama tusiendelee? That energy si ya mtu ambaye amekula lunch. Tuendelee ama tusiendelee? Bado ya mwisho tutaenda. Tuendelee ama tusiendelee? Oh, sawa. Twende Samasoti. Sikia maneno, usisikie sauti. Hii ni ya message. Hii si ya vocals. Nilikunyima doza uba, ukaniita mbwa na shangaa. Utokapo chumbani kama umejihami, eti wako fulani, kiatu moja weji kingine hapo flati. Umebeba kwenye begi bichi lipstick na makeup, wajazia tu kikapu, eti wataka chipsi na baga tu. Chumbani we fukara, waishi guest house na chumba cha wifi. Una hata kitanda kuwa hada, wengi kuwa wendo wa wifi. Kumbe we tanga bana, haya maisha Samasoti. Ongezea sukari na salty, Samasoti. Sukari na salty, bana haya maisha Samasoti. Ongezea sukari na salty, Samasoti. Sukari na salty, haya maisha ya kifundi. Nikusha na kupachika, kubandika. Haya maisha ya kifundi. Nikusha na kupachika, kubandika. When you see me pray, I am struggling to find my way. I hustle night and day, so I can feed my lovely family. Roho juu na ipande, na wanaokatia washuke. Mama mboga tujikaze, wakulima tujikaze, boda boda tujikaze, tujikaze, wasanii tujikaze, wamatri tujikaze, tutafuteni salari, mwishowe tutapati salario. Salario, mina tafuta salario. Salario, siski salario. Salario, mina tafuta salario. Salario, salario, salario. Sasa tafute salario. Salario, salario. Sasa tafute salario. Yule namwona bwana ana floss, fununu yauza mihadarati, mara sugar mami. Yule wampaka nilewe, si shosti wangu tu. Basi kidogo dharau, kwa wazazi na wadau, kujifanya tusahau, hamna hata salamu. Oh, basi kidogo dharau, kwa wazazi na wadau, kujifanya tusahau, hamna hata salamu. Basi mpende msipende, sibaye mpira nichezeke. Ukimpataka tujue sote, ulocheza zege ni wewe. Basi mpende msipende, sibaye mpira nichezeke. Ukipata tujue sote, ulocheza zege ni wewe. Haya maisha ya kifundi, nikushona kupachika, kubandika. Haya maisha ya kifundi, nikushona kupachika, kubandika. Haya maisha ya kifundi, nikushona kupachika, kubandika. Thank you. Acha tuendelee, tutaendelea after conversation. Tutaendelea after conversation. My boss will fire me. Amtaki nilipwe? Ona watu.
been put in a very precarious situation. Since many of you are Gen Zs, wacha tuwape moja.
Sawa, umeona si mimi ni boss, si mimi, si mmeona? Haya. Sawa, hii simama basi tupige moja na energy alafu tutaendelea, si ndio? Kesho tutawapea mpaka mchoke. Sorry. Twende. Nipe penzi la kishenzi utapenda, nipe penzi la kishenzi utapenda, 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 nipe penzi la kishenzi utapenda, nipe penzi la kishenzi utapenda, utapenda, utapenda. Kila mtu twende. Energy. Natoka kazi nataka tupatane hapo base tukule nyama choma. Ni siku yako sikukuu, tutacheza densi, hakuna breki, tukule happy, nimepata pedi, nipe hiyo tenda, service utapenda, I go be your waiter, nisiwai kulenga, nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, 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 nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, utapenda, utapenda. Sweet chocolate, unanipa hiyo feeling when it's stimulate, feels like I'm heating up, na sitaki kwenda back, ushanichanganya, nafsi yangu itimam, wili umeganda, acha tupunguze jam, watu wanateta, sitakula vya haramu, ushanipenda, nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, 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 nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, utapenda, utapenda. Oya waiter some tequila, nina mihela nimekwachupa chudila, ina dimudi ya kusereleka we, niko na madam hebu cheza kama we, the flow is lit up, everybody jumping up, girls and West boys wanna grab the rest is a bembesi, pinda muganga usiwe babuwe, nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, nipe penzi, la kishenzi utapenda, utapenda, utapenda. Thank you.
you trust an artist with one song, he takes three. And thank you so much. A very entertaining session. I think since this conference started, we have not had this kind of enthusiasm and excitement. So thank you so much, Tontenas and the KCC band. Thank you very much. But we also have another entertainment piece lined up for us that will be a bit different from what you've watched here. It's a one-man show. Hope you will enjoy it. Welcome, Amadib.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? I will I will be your comedian for the next 15 minutes, and I do not know how to follow that energy, so I'm just going to do my jokes. Is that okay? Simutani pia ka excitement pia. Thanks. Doesn't matter, nishalipwa. So me, I'm just here to do my time. So anyway, guys, my name is Deep. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I'm a big fan of the people who name medicine in Kenya. I think those people are the best, because the name of the medicine will tell you what it does. Foreign made medicine does not really give that message. You know, they have weird names like ibuprofen and Xanax and Valium. They all sound like German EDM bands, you know. Come on, brah, let's go listen to ibuprofen, brah, you know. I like Kenyan medicine names because the name will tell you what it does. No confusion. Flu gone. You want your flu gone? Shika flu gone, manze. Sometimes they get poetic. Head X. You wanna break up with your headache and make it your ex? Shika headaches, bana. How fast do you want the pain to go away? Immediately? Mara maucha, bana shika. I think if Kenyans made Viagra, I think they'd call it something like Big Dicladon. You have to go to M-Pesa shop. Boss nisaidie Big Jimbili na Big Dicladon tatu manze. It would have weird advertisements. Okay. I would request silence. Brown privilege, please. Anyway, I grew up in a bedsitter. Anybody knows what a bedsitter is? Oh, you guys are students. You guys are living in one right now. I grew up in a bedsitter. And if you don't know what a bedsitter is, think of an elevator, okay? But with a sink. That's it. That's a bedsitter. 4 Muindis living in a bedsitter. It was my father, my mom, myself, and I in a bedsitter. I hated it. We were cooped up like chickens in that bedsitter. Our minds were connected like Bluetooth devices. We couldn't have private thoughts. We were so close to each other all the time. You know, the moment I come home from school, put one foot inside my house, immediately in my head I hear, the Bluetooth device has connected successfully. It was actually in an Indian accent. You know, it was my mom who came in my ear. The Bluetooth device has connected successfully. You know, the moment I hear that, I know I can't have private thoughts. I'll be sitting on the floor thinking things. My mom would come. She's your cousin. What's wrong with you? We are not those types of Indians. We pray on Sunday, not Friday. Remember that? I hated my life as a bedsitters are so small. Even demons do not haunt bedsitters. I've watched horror movies. You need at least 2 floors in your house for a demon to consider it haunted, you know. Because even demons are like girlfriends. If you don't have money, I'm not coming, you know. 2 floors. You know why? Because the demon needs time to build up the horror, you know. You're sleeping in your bedroom, the demon is in the kitchen making noises. You go to the kitchen downstairs. You guys are not listening. You go to the kitchen downstairs. You see all your organic butter and non-fried pans everywhere. You're scared. Oh my God, what happened? What is over here? That has given the demon enough time to go to the attic. Guys, attic. Me, I'm so broke, I didn't even know whether attic is spelled with a C or a Q. A reverse basement in your house? That is opulence. You know, go to the attic, you look around, all your storage stuff is arranged. The demon has already gone to the guest bedroom. You guys, guest bedroom. A room dedicated to somebody who may or may not come. I think that room should be called the Jesus room, if you know what I mean. Thank you. That's my audience right there. There are no demon hauntings in the bed, so there's no time to build up that horror. You're sleeping in your bedroom, you hear noises in the kitchen, you just turn. That's it. Awkward position with the demon, trying to make small talk. So how did you die, bro? You know what's happening? Nothing, man. I was just in the Mandamanos. You know how it goes. Sorry. I thought we were joking. You guys are getting angry at me. I grew up as a broke Muindi, which is very rare. You know, the difference between broke Muindis and rich Muindis is not much, but there are some things you can check. If you want to know if a Muindi is broke, look for a scar on his bicep. Just around here. Broke Muindis have this scar, rich Muindis do not. And this is why broke Muindis have that scar. Is because this is how they have to enter their house every day. Now, if you have no idea what I just did, go give your father a hug. That guy made money, put you through right education, went through the corporate ladder, made money so you can enter your house like this instead of me. You guys know what I'm talking about? This metal gate with an orifice. Kangling, 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 kangling. Everybody knows Amandeep is home. It's like you're trying to find the L spot, you know, the L spot of. It's like you're trying to help a cow give birth, but it's upside down, you know. Stop getting offended because I'm talking about your door. Relax. It's a joke, manzi. Another way you can differentiate broke Muindis from rich Muindis is an audio clue. Listen to how good their Kiswahili is, because broke Muindis are very good at Kiswahili, because their parents couldn't afford to send them to schools where foreign language was French or Spanish. Foreign language in my school was English. Okay, I went to a Catholic school. I survived. A Kalasinga in a Catholic school. I can't even blame my parents. School fees was 800 shillings a year. 800, 2 plus 2 is 4 everywhere, right? So I can't blame them. And I hated my Catholic school experience. I didn't have many friends, you know. Boys and girls were not allowed to play with each other because, you know, it's Catholic school, conservatives, you know. Boys didn't want to play with me because they used to say, I can't believe I'm telling you guys, but they used to say, hatuwezi cheza na Aman kwa sababu Aman hajatae. Now, if you don't know what that means, it means we cannot play with Amandeep because Amandeep is uncircumcised. I'm like, come on, man. We're 7. Let me be the goalkeeper. What does my penis have to do with me being good at? More skin. I have more surface area. I can save better, bro. What's this? Let me play football, bro. What's up? But hakunipenda manze. They didn't like me. Every Friday we used to have praise and worship. You know, where Catholics gather around and sing songs to praise their God. I was there, but I was singing the songs with my own remix because I'm not a defector. I sang your songs. I know all your songs, you know. This was me in the assembly. This is the day that Waheguruji has made. We will rejoice. I even know the Swahili ones. Wamilele, wamilele, Mungu wa baraka ni nani? Wamilele, wamilele, Mungu wa baraka ni Waheguruji. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get much from that Catholic school, but one thing I really loved is how to defeat the devil, depending on which direction he comes from, you know. That's at least one thing I learned from my Catholic school, because my religion gave me nothing, not even stop, drop, and roll, nothing. You know, at least Catholics told me, when you see the devil, you're supposed to kanyaga on him. You guys know the song I'm talking about? Shetani zote tuko, Shetani akija na zote, akija mbele yako kanyaga. This, oh my God, I love that part. Every kid in my school loved that part. Every kid had a bigger right size on their shoe on the right side because of this fucking this sumo wrestler move, man. I love that part. Although I think that song needs to be updated. I think if Christianity has to move, I'm just absorbing the moment. Akala Singer is talking about Christianity in Kenya. This is, you guys, this is art. This is, I'm an artist. I think that song needs to be updated, you know. And I think the part is the Kanyaga part, my favorite part. I think that one needs to be updated for it to be more relevant. So again, let's go from the beginning. Shetani. Hey, Christians don't have energy. Tayari. Shetani akija na zote. Akija mbele yako, mpigia kura, tulimpigia kura. Guys, I thought we agreed. You're supposed to kanyaga, not wake up at 6 a.m. and vote twice. What happened? I'm enjoying this. One thing I did get from that university, from that school, was an opportunity to get scholarships. And one thing we had to do to get that scholarship after, years of studying was to watch the movie Passion of Christ and write a report on it. You guys know the movie Passion of Christ? It's a movie about Jesus and how cool he is, basically. So I think that movie is the reason my mom called me Kumbafu, okay? And my mom, she's an immigrant. She knows like 8 Swahili words, and she used the worst one. She knows hapana taka fanya bei mzuri. Moja bili. Kumbafu! Those are the only words she knows. And she used Kumbafu. This is what happened. We were watching the movie. I'm writing notes. My mom is also watching the movie. 5 minutes into the movie, she looks at me. She says, Aman, why can't you be like Jesus? That's how she starts the conversation. Why can you not be like the Son of God? I was angry. I'm like, Mom, it's not the same. It's not the same playing field. We're not even playing the same game. Jesus has so many advantages. It's not even the same. How could you even compare us? Jesus is the Son of God. Nepotism. Okay, he's a nepo baby. Everything was made for him, Jesus is God, made everything. You guys know Jagwant? Exactly, that's my father. He made like 2 people and then he got tired. It's a big difference, Mom, Jesus has magical powers, Mom. Look, he's walking on water, turning water into wine. Mom, I can't even turn this marketing degree into a well-paying job. What's wrong with you, Mom? I wish I stopped there, but, I have to go for the ultimate kill. I said, Mom, maybe Jesus is better than me because his mom was a virgin. Kumbaf! Anyway, thank you so much, guys. My name is Amandeep Jagde. You guys have been lovely. Thank you, Hiva. Thank you, French Embassy. And
Thank you so much. I told you it will be different, and I hope it has been different in a good way. We now want to set up for the final paper presentation session for today. Please, yeah. I would like to call the moderator of the session, who is none other than the elegant Suki Wanza, to come and take us through this session. Suki, welcome.
It's 16:45. 16:45 ni saa 10:45. So I'm not so sure kama nawaambia good afternoon ama good evening. Zote mbili ama good evening. Great. Karibuni sana. I hope you guys are having fun. This is day 3 of the second Performing Arts Conference. And I hope we are learning a lot. I hope we are having fun. I hope we are interacting and networking. Because that is, of course, one of the other purposes of having this conference is to network and collaborate and have important conversations that we always want to have, but at times we never have the opportunity of having them. As they are arranging, just give me 1 second. Great. So for this afternoon session, we have quite a heavy list of presenters with interesting topics. Please, let's listen. Let's ask questions at the end of the presentations. And so our first presenter, whom let me just introduce her before she gets on stage, is a lady called Anne Lanoi Keton. I know if I just said Lanoi Keton, half of us would not know whether she's female or male, which is a very good thing. Anne Lanoi is a lecturer in literature at the Masai Mara University, Narok, in Kenya. She teaches students pursuing Bachelor of Arts in Literature, Theatre and Film, and Bachelor of Education Arts. Currently, she's pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy in Literature at the University of Nairobi. Moreover, she's passionate about African women literature, literatures on African girlhoods, literatures from marginalized communities, and literatures on eco-criticism. Please, let's welcome Anne as she gets on stage. Okay, we can do better than that. Anne has a co-presenter. I'm not so sure if he's going to join us. Okay, but please let me just read his bio, because, ndio tujue alikuwa mmoja wao. He's called Dennis Waswa Baraza. Dennis is a PhD candidate at Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology. His research area is in comparative literature. He is working on his PhD thesis titled Youth Identities in Selected Kenyan Feature Films. He holds a Master of Arts degree in literature and a B.Ed Arts, both from the University of Nairobi. He has co-authored an article with Anne Lanoi called Towards a New Poetics of Comedic Performance in Kenya Following COVID-19 Pandemic. It was published in EALC in March 2024. Their paper, or their topic today, is Staging Childhood Experiences, an analysis of stigmatization in selected performances at the Kenya National Drama and Film Festival. Karibu Anne.
Good afternoon. Allow me start by rephrasing our title from what it is there on the abstract, and we'll present on staging childhood stigmatization, because we are talking about the stage, and we are analyzing children experiences in selected performances at the Kenya National Drama and Film Festivals. Our article examines representation of childhood stigmatization in selected performances at the Kenya National Drama and Film Festivals. And we are arguing that performances on experiences of children who are enabled differently creates a social awareness on childhood stigmatization. We purposefully sampled out 3 performances: Riara Springs, The Eyes Have It, 2023, Visa Oswald's The Abstract Painting, 2024, Aga Khan Academy Kisumu's The Aqua Shack, 2024, but the Aga Khan is a film while the first 2 are plays. These sampled performances exhibit similar characteristics that the study is interested in. All the protagonists are children, and I know literature people here will start making children to be problematic. So my argument is that I'm looking at children below the age of 18. They are all abled differently. They are all stigmatized by their classmates and schoolmates, and all of them are traumatized. And that's the reason as why we are using trauma theories. I'll briefly look at, just to make you understand, these 3 productions. Justin Ogwen, The Eyes Have It, is a narration on Nuru, a child who is born with vitiligo. Vitiligo is you have some patches on your skin. She is a Form 1 student who had topped in KCPE before joining high school. And because of her brilliant performance in KCPE, the principal requests to make her the face of the school in all activities. This does not augur well with Kayla, a Form 3 student who was the face of the academy before Nuru joined the school. The second play, Edward Wandera, The Abstract Painting, is a play about Zebediah, who is born autistic. Zebediah is talented in abstract painting. His mother takes him to the same school that the sister schools so that he could also enjoy the same facilities. Alma, who is Zebediah's sister, isn't happy and feels that she will be laughed at by other children once they learn that they are siblings. Peter Magina, The Aqua Shack, is a film about Roland, who is also born autistic. Roland is a gifted swimmer. He learns swimming not only to win in competitions, but to save lives of children who might drown. Now, I want to look at these three plays, and I'm trying to argue that they all create social awareness of the kind of life that these children go through in school. Number one, bullying. These performances, they flesh out bullying that happens to children who are born differently. Kayla and her group bully Nuru. They ask her to refuse the principal's request that she becomes the face of the school. When mostly Nuru is in a Muslim cloth because she wants to hide the patches that are covering her body. So when she refuses to step down from becoming the face of the school, Kayla and her group forcibly remove the Muslim cloth that she wears. When the girl sees Nuru's skin, they are shocked and ask, "Ai, kwani ameban?" Kayla tells them that Nuru is not human. She's ugly and has a contagious disease. She insists that Nuru looks like a dairy cow, and she will infect them all if she's allowed to continue learning in that school. She will make them look like a dairy, an animal farm. And the girls, because they are young, they are scared, they mock her, they torture her so that she can leave the school. The girls laugh at Nuru. They call her so ugly person, a dairy animal, a monster, mzungu mwitu wewe, and that she has transitioned from COVID-19 to COVID-20. They mock her even further by saying, hata hakai vibaya, anakaa kama chapo. Roland, in Aquashark, is bullied by the classmates. They want him not to represent the school in the swimming competition. The quality assurance teacher is worried about the school's image, about the image of the school, and demands that Roland is dropped out of the competition. But the swimming teacher insists. In the abstract painting, Alma, Zebediah's sister, does not want Zebediah to join the school because she feels that once her friends learn that they are sibling, it will bring embarrassment to her. The art teacher loves Zebediah's work. He calls it an abstract painting and selects him to represent the school into Pandemiti art competition. This makes Alma so angry because she was the best painter before the brother joined the school and had actually won the previous year. Alma and her friends torment, harass, and threaten Zebediah when he refuses to pull out of the competition. They lock him out of the art room and chase him. They laugh at how he walks, talks, behaves, and they even call him cheesy. That is mad. The next thing that we are looking at is talents. These performances speak to the society that these children who are enabled differently, they can also be talented. Roland is a gifted swimmer. He's selected to represent his school in swimming competition, and he actually wins. Zebediah is an abstract painter who is also selected to represent the school into Pandemiti, and he also wins. While Nuru is brilliant, she tops KCPE. You can imagine KCPE in Kenya and you winning. And therefore, she's selected to be the face of the school in all activities. So this deconstructs the notion that only able children are talented. The other, number three, deconstructions. The three performances deconstruct the myth surrounding autism and vitiligo. They enlighten the society about what autism is and what vitiligo is and how they are transmitted. Because remember that Kayla says that Nuru will infect them. But that is not how vitiligo is transmitted. It is a disease that is inherited. And in fact, Nuru inherits from her mother. But she has never known because the mother uses cosmetics. It is not an airborne disease. Finally, it is on traumas. These performances exposes high levels of trauma. Nuru is traumatized and opts out of school to join a blind school because in the blind school, she says, the learners will not see her. Therefore, they will not judge her. Roland does not see the need of going to school. He says, people like him, do they really need to go to school? Zebediah is really traumatized. When his painting is destroyed, he becomes unruly, cries, fights. And if you've read Kathy's literary theories, and you learn about the trauma, that trauma is a wound that is repeated. And we see in all these performances, trauma is repeated in all these characters. Finally, these performances give hope to the parents, to these children who are born autistic, and even the teachers. Because Roland wins the swimming competition, he also saves the life of a child who had drowned. Nuru is made the face of the school at the end, and learners and teacher and her mother celebrates her. While Zebediah wins the competition and made the student in charge, and he's made the student in charge of art, a role that was stripped off from her sister. I beg to stop there.
Thank you, Anne. Our second presenter for this session is Dr. Emmanuel Shikuku Tihungu. Shikuku Tihungu. A very good friend of mine and colleague, is a lecturer in film and theater arts at Kenyatta University, where he teaches courses, you can say, woo. Where he teaches courses in acting and directing. His research interests lie in post-colonialism and theater arts. He is the author of Identity in Post-Millennial German Films on Africa, published by Peter Lang Publishers in 2015. He is also a passionate cultural critic who specializes in performance studies and how they interweave with contemporary social dynamics. He is also a dramatist who directs and acts, the latest being in the play The Island by Athol Fugard in 2022 and 2023. He headed the writing of the play Lest We Forget that celebrated the 70th anniversary of Kenya Cultural Center in 2022. Additionally, he is a national adjudicator with the Kenya National Drama and Film Festival, having adjudicated the 2023 festival. Lastly, he is a resident jury member of the Kenya Theatre Awards for the 2023-2024 cycle, a body that identifies and recognizes efforts by Kenya theatre artists. Karibu sana daktari. Please, let's clap for him. Tuendelee jamani, mpaka afike. Today, Daktari will be talking about the art of censorship, reflecting on the repressions of 1970s to 2000 in theater arts.
Thank you, Suki. And thank you for affirming that we are friends. Some people usually think I don't have friends. Ladies and gentlemen, I come here not as the programs controller, but as also a panel, a presenter of a paper which came from my research. As a moderator introduced me, she said that I wrote the play. I actually headed the team that wrote the play, Lest We Forget. And at that time, first of all, I should salute KCC. The CEO, I think he's just walked out, because they facilitated me to do research into the writing of that play, because looking at 70 years of an institution and writing a play about it was very difficult. I had, first of all, to do quite a lot of research. So this paper actually emanated as an offshoot of that exercise, because when I was interviewing a number of people, like David Mulwa, Stini Njoroge, Obi Obiero Odhiambo, and others, I realized that there is a history that is always glossed over. And that history is how hilarious the government sought to control this space. Because of a number of issues that we will discuss. So I started by saying that I interviewed quite a number of people who gave me a lot of ideas that I thought after I have written the play, after we sat down with a number of people and wrote the play, what next? And this is one of the issues that I thought I could share with people who are interested. So from their responses, David Mulwa, Obi Obiero Odhiambo, Stini Njoroge, I decided to compile this presentation. I asked them one question: why censorship? Why is it that the government was so much interested in controlling what is happening in this space? And the answers varied. The first that David Mulwa gave me was that the government feared this space. Why? Because the first thing, and you can see how we have been making our arguments here, that theater builds a community. You remember what the producers were saying here. Theater forms a community. And this community is a passionate community. You can see the way Tontenas were dancing, were singing here, and you were responding. It forms a bond that even the government fears. So the fear was that if 2 or 3 people gather and they gather over an issue, and God forbid if that issue is political, then the government will have to intervene. The second, which is related to the first, was that theater, this space actually, not just the theater and the production alone, but the space was forming an alternative community. A community that is not beholden to politics, a community that is not tribal. Remember, during colonialism, we had been categorized as Kikuyus, Luyas, Luos, Mijikenda, and Kisi, and all that. But here is a community where one of the greatest actors, David Mulwa, is Kamba. One of the greatest writers, Francis Imbuga, is from Luyaland. One of the, many people were coming here, the likes of Stini Njoroge, the likes of Steve Mwenesi, lawyers and lecturers and lazy abouts and all that, coming together to form a community that is unbreakable by the government. That created that fear. And then 3, theater was information sharing. For those who are at the university right now or who have been in the university previously, some 10 or so years ago, you must have used Mwakenya. Do you know where that the word Mwakenya came from? Mwakenya was an information sharing pamphlet. And that pamphlet was banned because it was giving information that the government had not sanctioned. Remember that time, there's only one TV station. VOK, not even before it was changed to KBC, VOK. So sharing information was a cult. You could not share information. And here we have a space that allows for sharing of information. So you can see why the government seemed bent on censoring. And then, of course, the politics of the day. Remember, people are clamoring for multi-party. 1982, we have had an attempted coup. 1978, is it 76 or 78? The Attorney General, the late Charles Njonjo, comes up and says it is treasonous to imagine, leave alone to say, but to imagine that the president is dead. You could not imagine, leave alone say, you know, you can say, right now you can say Ruto must go. Those days you could not say that I don't know if I'm dreaming or not, but I dreamt that the president is dead. That was treason. That was treason, and the Attorney General, Sir Charles Njonjo, came up and said it is treasonous. Why? Because people had started looking at the health of the then president and said, hey, Mzee is not okay. So, of course, now once you know Mzee is not okay, it means people start clamoring for, jostling for positions. And many people had started jostling for positions. So you can see the politics of the day necessitated that the government has its hand in every other space, especially a space like the one that we are in. Now, at that time, we did not have the laws. As much as we had the Cap 222, the one that bans content that is not sanctioned, we did not have a body like now KFCB, the one we have that is mandated for that. That time it was the special branch, which in the current dispensation is what we call the NIS. And their work was to beat you up if you contravene any of those laws. So it's not a question of you going to the court to say that I have a right to show this play. No. As we will see, they had established mechanisms through which they used to censor. They had to review your content, which means you had literally to, once you have written a script, you take to Nyayo House, floor 22. And in my interview with Obiero, he told me that you could not access floor 22, Nyayo House, with the lift. You had to go up to floor 25 and then walk back. And you could not walk beyond, from floor 22, you could not go to floor 21. So you had to go back to floor 25, then pick the lift down. So you can see the game that the government was playing at that time to ensure that you are thoroughly harassed before you can even do your production. And you had to submit that play for them to read and assess and think, this one looks like it can be performed at the Kenya National Theatre. This one, no, remove this word, remove that word before it goes on. So they used blanket mechanisms for all content severely, and that limited greatly the freedom. Another reason why they did that was more for paranoia, because they always conflated political and artistic spaces. And this paranoia might not even have been the minister or even the president. It was certain officers, junior officers, who decided that this play is good, that play is bad. It did not have to go all the way to the higher level. A few of the plays went to the higher level, as we shall see. So when I was researching now for this paper, I learned from other scholars like Mushai Mwangola, Danyi, Okuto, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, as well as Outa 2003, who talks about performance of power. So for me, when looking at censorship, I did not look at it as a political gimmick, but as an art, because I recognized those tragic moments of the theater scene in Kenya and how it was carried out. Next 2 slides, please. Yes. Here I am with David Mulwa after the interview that I carried out, and the information that he gave me is as follows. Next slide, please. David Mulwa told me about the censorship of the play Muntu on this stage. What happened is that the Daily Nation on 2nd of February 1982 carried a title, the government bans its own play. Because apparently, someone had told the Minister for Education, J.J. Kamodo, that the play Muntu by George Kaf, a set book at that time
for secondary schools was violent and anti-Christian. So the lecturers and students from Kenyatta University College, where David Mulwa was teaching, had prepared a performance of the play and invited secondary schools to this hall to come and watch it as part of their co-curricular activities. So upon hearing that the play is unfit for children, J.J. Kamodo called the then principal of Kenyatta University College, a gentleman called Maithia, Professor Maithia, and told him the play must stop. So of course, the principal, being an employee of the university, he summons the lecturers in charge, that is Professor Francis Imbuga, David Mulwa, and Austin Bukenya, and told them they should stop the performance. Well, lecturers, being employees of the university, decided, well, now that the university has said, we will stop. So they go to the students and tell them, we have to stop the play. But the students tell them, no. If you want to stop, you stop, but we will perform the play. So students hijack the bus from Kenyatta University, drive themselves to the theater, set up. Remember, David Mulwa, Austin Bukenya, and Francis Mbuga are characters in that play. So they need to play, they're actors, so they need to play their characters. So when the play starts, Mulwa is standing here. If you've ever watched the Muntu, there is the role of the divine drama. Mulwa is standing here with the divine drama, and then he sees at that door 3 people walking in. And the way he's looking at these people, they don't look like students, they don't look like teachers who had accompanied the students. Something tells him, we are in trouble. And so he allows, the people come in, and then they sit down, they start watching the play. At the end of the play, he tells 2 of his female students to go and talk to those guys and see exactly who they are and what they want. So the female students, you will be shocked who they are. I don't want to say who they are. They are senior people in government right now. So the students take these 3 fellows and take them upstairs. Then it was called a old theater restaurant. And they tease them, you know, the way girls can tease a man. They tease them, they get information from them. They come to tell Mulwa those are special branch. So Mulwa tells them, tell them that play is not so bad. They should not worry about it. And then the girls go back and they talk to these fellows, they buy them beer and all that, and they say, yeah, we saw even the students from high schools were enjoying. So, yeah, and then these girls tell them, yeah, it was a good performance, and so on and so on. So the gentlemen go back to the minister and report that the play was so good, the students were enjoying. In fact, they were reciting some of the lines, they were happy about it, and it did not look like a subversive activity. So J.J. Kamodo, being the government, calls the principal again and tells him, I meant to understand that that play is very good. It is one of the most educational plays that has ever been shown. I want it to tour the country. How much money do you need? So they are given money. Kenyatta University College at that time, 1978, is given more money to now tour the whole country showing the play. But the damage had already been done. At that time, one of the Nation editor, Nation newspaper, of course it was the only, it was one of the leading newspaper outlets. One of its editors, Whispers, Wahome Mtai, had read about the story that the government has banned the play. So he splashed at the front page of the next day's Nation, government bans its own play. Now, so Mulwa was wondering, if the government has banned its own play, rather the country was wondering, if the government has banned its own play, who then can the government ban if it can ban its own decision? You know, it's the government that decides this book is supposed to be a set book, and yet it bans it. Next slide. The next slide you'll see after my interview with Professor Obiero Odhiambo, and he was the writer of a play, Drum Beats of Kirinyaga, another play that the government sought to ban. And the government sought to ban it because Obiero Odhiambo was accused of contradicting the president. How was he contradicting the president? He was accused of contradicting the president because the president had said, we have one, Kenya should be seen as one. Kenya should be seen as a unit. Kenya cannot be seen as varieties. Now, Drumbeats of Kirinyaga was a play that celebrated, two slides, that celebrated the multivariated shades of Kenyan communities. Its key character was a Luya called Shitabwa, whose 9 daughters were molded from the soils brought forth by birds from the different communities of Kenya. And these soils were molded using the snow of Mount Kirinyaga. And he decided not to use Kirinyaga because he felt the right pronunciation of the mountain was not the Kirinyaga, the way the Kikuyu pronounce it. It is Kirinyaga, the way the Meru pronounce it. So he thought that it's better to look at it as that. So the play took a form of celebratory dances from many tribes of Kenya. And it was contradicting the president because the president had come up with the Nyayo philosophy. Remember, this is 1992. The Nyayo philosophy, which was anchored on one monolith tribe called Kenya. And that monolith tribe was under one father. Remember, that's where we started using the word Baba. We didn't start using it with Odinga. We started using the word Baba Moi, with Moi. So now, being the Baba of the nation, there's no way he would preside over multivariated communities. It had to be one community under the Nyayo philosophy. And yet, this play was actually celebrating these varieties, which to him was not making sense. So Drumbeats of Kirinyaga was considered sympathetic to opposition, and thus it was labeled subversive and seditious. 2 more slides, please. In that slide, you'll see Stini, who I interviewed for the next variation. And Stini gave me the hilarity now of censorship. In that, one, people realize that if you have to deal with the government, you have to be bright. The first thing you need to do is not to tell them the truth. So when he wanted to do a play called A Play of Giants by Wole Soyinka, which actually laughs at dictators of Africa and their opulence. So what he did, he submitted a different play. So when he went to 22nd floor to submit, he gave them a totally different play, and that became now the script, how people had to survive. You submit a totally different play, you come and perform your play, people are happy, or people who understand what you are saying or what is being performed are happy, and it goes on. But still, there was another catch. The special branch had to come and watch that production. So how do you escape when they're here? What the easiest way to get out of it was actually to give them a different synopsis of now the production, which mixes the two so that they don't see. And remember that time, unlike today, for you to do a show, you need to pay tax. You need to declare after the show, you go to 22nd floor of Nyayo House and say that from this show we collected 500 shillings, 1,000, 2,000, and therefore we need to pay 16% tax. So you can see, once these officers come in, you give them that 16% and tell them, "Now I've paid my tax." Then you have no problem. People had to find ways of dealing with that. And that's why, by the way, when you look now at the Kenyan plays, sometimes when you look at, when you start analyzing, you realize that there's a lot of censorship, self-censorship. When you read Francis Imbuga's plays, when you read David Mulwa's plays, you realize that there is that identity of self-censorship. Or they conceal reality. They conceal they conceal what they want to say in characters that are not subversive. For example, when you read most of Imbuga's plays, you realize that his characters who speak the truth to power are actually clowns, madmen, or people of that kind of nature. Other plays that were censored include Kanzala by the current, the former Governor Kivutha Kibwana, Chains of Junkdom by Okoito Mtata, Murder in the Cathedral, Kabla ya Dhoruba, Maitu Njugira, and of course Can't Pay, Won't Pay, because of, again, of its political nature. Allow me to stop there for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We make the rules, we break the rules. Our third presenter is a young man, very passionate about performing arts from the hills of the Rift Valley. Octavius Onyango, or as he is popularly known as Octavo, is a Masters of Arts in Theatre student at Moi University. He is a theatre and film personality with a passion in acting, writing, and directing. Currently, he is an intern at the African Multiple Cluster of Excellence at Moi University and is the artistic director of 64 Theatre, a theatre company in Eldoret. He is also a writer on Maisha Magic's Shanga, on Zebra Productions' Salem, and Volume, a series on Netflix. In film, he has also featured in various Kenyan productions like Eldoret Film Festival's, I'm not so sure if it is Lame or Lame, you'll come and tell us. That was done in 2020. Octavius speaks and writes fluently in French and has won several awards, including a residency to study theater, music, and dance in France. Karibu sana Octavius. Tumpigeni makofi jamani. Okay, tuendelee. Okay. Octavius will be talking on adaptation and continuity, exploring the resilience of Eldoret's conventional theater artists in the digital age.
Thank you. Could I request a stage hand to help me with a stand? I'm very expressive when I speak, so sometimes the microphone might go away like that, and then you won't get to hear what I have said. So yes, my name is Octavius, and I love the theater. And yeah, what Eldoret mna watch habari zenu. Niko hapa mbele. This feels like home. Yeah. And today I want to speak on adaptation and continuity, exploring the resilience of Eldoret's conventional theater artists in the digital age. I must admit that before I decided to write this paper, in fact it's very academic, but I'd like to speak on it just as advised by one of my professors. I had thought about coming here with a Gen Z-esque type paper to speak to the establishment and talk about how previously at the first ArtsCon we were saying things like the Kenya National Theatre should help artists living outside Nairobi. How national is the Kenya National Theatre? And such things. But just reflecting on such discussions and statements that were made at the time, I was saying, wow, mnaweza nisaidia. Yeah, I decided to look back, just in this spirit of maandamano as a young person living in this country right now, and just to ask ourselves, before you put the blame on someone else, thank you very much, sir. Yeah, before you put the blame on someone else, how about look into your own house and see what's going on? And that's when I decided to look at how these Eldoret artists who constantly feel like they're not being appreciated have actually been doing things. So I went back into the history of Eldoret's theater. And many of you might not know, but we have a space there called it's called Elgon View Club nowadays, but it was formerly known as the Arts Center. And just by talking to people who live in Eldoret, that theater space, the first building that was built there is traced to the words of an old man who says it was built in 1942, which struck me very seriously, and I started to think then between the Kenya National Theatre and artists in Eldoret, who is supposed to be pointing who when it comes to this blame game of supporting each other. I find myself having to define what theater is a lot nowadays because of course, there's this broad definition that theater is life, and essentially we are trying to make money out of life itself. So then I decided to look into the conventional theater in Eldoret's space, which is defined very nicely by Brockett and Hildy as the presentation of scripted plays in a proscenium theater with a separation between the performers and the audience following established theatrical conventions and traditions, which is usually the thought that comes into the mind when you think theater, at least in Eldoret. I'm not sure, I can't speak for Nairobi people. Yeah, and because of this, just looking into the history, there's something we like to say a lot in spaces in Eldoret. Again, I don't know what happens in Nairobi, that msanii ni kuteseka, na you have to persevere. So just rethinking this, because I'm part of the African Multiple Cluster of Excellence, where we're trying to reconfigure, essentially rethink African studies. And I came up with this, not really came up, I was drawn into, or by this word, resilience, and by some very nice descriptions here, as the developable capacity to rebound or bounce back from adversity, conflict, and failure, or even positive events, progress, and increased responsibility. But this is for one person, and thinking about Eldoret's theater as a whole, I told you I'm very expressive with my hands, is the capacity of a dynamic system to adapt successfully. Now, Eldoret's Elgon View Club was established, let's say, in 1942, as per my research. This paper shall be published one day and you shall read. In 1942, and it has existed up to date. There are people who are octogenarians right now who fondly remember that space as places where they acted their childhood recitals when they were 6, 7 years old in that space. I'd prepared a slide, but I would show you those pictures, but unfortunately that slide does not exist here now, so just wait to read the paper. So imagine 1942, and mostly things that were performed in that space were like school plays, recitals, where mostly elite members of society who lived around the area, which is called a Pioneer, if you know where that place is. You know it's not a very Milimani. I hope it makes sense there. Yeah, so who we know today, the place we know today as Elgon View. So this theater was very lucrative at the time. Productions usually had to have fun. And we had productions from as far as a place called Iten, if you know where Iten is. But as time went by and dwindling goodwill, it was mostly considered a space where Wazungus used to come and the learned people of Eldoret used to come to do their performances. And because of a lot of land issues and such things, when the Wazungus left, the space had become dormant for up to 30 years until this year when we decided to revive the space. Now, Eldoret will boast a lot of things, but in the definition of theater, we have had people such as Professor L.P. Barasa, Professor C.J. Odhiambo, and nowadays Nairobi's very own Dr. Fred Mbogo, performing and using the spaces in Eldoret to do their performances. So at that time, being an undergrad just before the COVID pandemic hit, we felt very elite. Tunaperformia ma lecturer, we are the ones who know these things. And then COVID-19 happened and everyone was back to zero. So theater groups in Eldoret, which usually consisted mainly of people who did set books and such, and us who considered ourselves the elite of Eldoret, were in the same space. But now this is something that I found that was very interesting. I was told, I'm so thankful for the maandamano, by the way, for a very odd reason. Tuliambiwa, nyinyi watu wa theater, you have not done theater in a time of adversity. You need to do plays. You don't know how running away from a country is, feeling the pain of the citizens. And maandamano has happened, so I'm looking very forward to writing something about this. Hopefully I will not see. Oh, by the way, we were visited by police at the Elgon View Theatre, so maybe a special branch might come for us one day, as they came for the people in Dr. Shikuku's paper. So, what happened during COVID-19 pandemic? People were at home. You don't leave the house. So, what did you have as entertainment? Your phones. So, Eldoret's theater artists, conventional theater artists at the time, now started doing their things small scale on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Small scale. And this has grown into something that is working now for us. At the time when it began, it looked like a joke. One artist would come up with a play, make a scene, they act it out, it gets some views. Some people post it on YouTube, they get some views. You know very well, Eldoret is known for people going to Australia and Finland. Now, when that happened, people started streaming plays to their family members and friends who live in Australia and Finland, and they would send us dollars. So when they sent us dollars, now this looked like a very lucrative sort of thing to help us survive through the COVID-19 pandemic. But just when we thought the dollars are going to start coming in large amounts, lockdown was lifted, everybody's back onto the street, it's free, you guys can go and have your shows. So we thought that this would ultimately affect us, because now we thought having, of course, you know the technicalities of having staging plays with cameras and all those things. In a theater space with an audience becomes different from in a theater space where you guys are just doing it on Zoom or on Instagram and all that. But this actually worked in a very nice way, that the people who used to watch us perform on Zoom and on YouTube and on TikTok now were hungry to come and watch plays live in a space. And I said earlier on that I was not interested in a new audience, but I want to specify that it's a new audience that is outside Eldoret, because now we are witnessing droves of people coming into the theater to watch us perform after actually knowing about us more during the COVID pandemic times. So essentially, these social medias, I don't know what happens in Nairobi, helped us greatly. That now it has pushed a lot of theater practitioners in Eldoret. Initially, we were 1, 2 theater groups, but now we are up to 8. And all these 8 groups are not just doing set books, we are doing up to stage plays and all that. So I initially wanted to start this by saying this was a presentation for the small folk. Yeah, maybe those who read A Song of Ice and Fire and maybe watch House of Dragons, you know what that is. And just to say, I'd like to give some recommendations, just to go quickly. I said this is an academic paper, so I'm just speaking to it. My recommendations now to this adaptation and all these issues relating to social media and all. In Eldoret, we have found that it works to actually build communities. The Eldoret-going theater people want to identify with us performers as part of our families, which I'm not sure about Nairobi. People just don't come into the door and watch a show and disappear. We used to perform at a hotel. We used to give people tea after the performance and have discussions with them, trying to listen to what they want for us to perform. And I can say that these insights with our audience have made us, for example, perform. Early on this year, we performed a play called Oret. It's in Kalenjin, specifically Nandi. That was an idea that was birthed from the discussions we had with members of our audience from our previous shows. We repeated a show that we did on Christmas Eve, that's on 23rd last year. This year in June, because the audience demanded us to repeat the same show. And we keep having shows with for our audience that is mainly based on the feedback that we get from them. And then another recommendation probably would be to involve local stakeholders. We realize that people actually around us want to be part of what we want to do. It might look like going, we've had discussions here about talking to corporates and all that. In Eldoret, it's almost kind of different. They come to us a lot of the time, and they're very open. Even if you go to talk to them about you having a play and what they will actually put you in a schedule. Of course, these are advantages we have because we are sort of a town that's becoming a city very soon. And then just to finish up, I think learning from all this and taking all the pressure from the Kenya National Theatre to help us as Eldoret conventional theatre artists to do our craft, we decided to build our own, and that is making a lot of sense for us in our space. And I dare say that if you're coming from a town or a space that's not necessarily Nairobi, I feel like it would be the best space to start making your companies, your theater things, and experimenting. Of course, keep your ears to the ground to what's happening all around the world and in Kenya. But if theater is to survive, personal thoughts, Octavia's thoughts, you're studying theater, you're doing theater in your small town. Dr. Mbogo joked about someone doing theater in Mtito Andei, in one of his plays that I did a while back. Yes, just start from Mtito Andei, and then one day all these will coalesce and it will all make sense. Thank you very much for listening to me, and merci beaucoup, toujours ça.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have a remarkable duo. You met with them yesterday. We have Dr. Jacqueline Zinale Bulinda. She is a lecturer of music and theater studies and education from Maseno University. She studied at Stellenbosch University for her PhD and Kenyatta University for her MA and B.Ed. She is a Kenya Music Festival national level adjudicator and facilitator, and she's also a member of the Kenya Music Festival National Committee. She is a decorated music composer and director. Karibu sana Jackie. Tumpigieni makofi jamani. We tumechoka? Bado. We just had lunch. As Jackie gets on stage, she will be joined by Dennis Tongoi. Dennis Tongoi is from Vihiga County. He holds a degree in education arts from Masinde Muliro University. He has a master's or holds a master's in project planning and management from Maseno University. He is a writer of literary art and official speeches. Wow. Recently wrote the poem, Mama, I'm Coming Home, of which most, if not all of us, were made privy to yesterday. He is also a ward administrator for the county government of Vihiga. Karibu sana Dennis. Tumpigieni makofi. The two will take us through exploring sustainable management of performing arts in Kenya, the case of Vihiga County.
Thank you very much, Suki. Suki is my friend. That is our title, Exploring Sustainable Management of Performing Arts in Kenya, the case of Vihiga County. We decided to choose on Vihiga County because of the interest we have there. I teach at Maseno University, and therefore Vihiga is our neighbor. By virtue of issues censorship, we are actually not sure as Maseno whether we belong to Vihiga or Maseno or Kisumu. We will choose. And as you've heard, Dennis is very much interested in studying issues management, and he works with the county, and therefore it was possible for us to gather some thoughts regarding management of the arts in the county. Our presentation was actually inspired by my participation in issues and things were happening within the Kenya Cultural Center, one of them which is the festival that is held yearly. I got to adjudicate in that festival, made for about 3 years running, and interacted with a lot of choirs from Vihiga County. I also found that these choirs were once very much sponsored by the county, but with time, some of them dropped off, while others are going on, but they're always like, Mwalimu, kwani hatuwezi kupata some form of censorship, some form of sponsorship so that we get to continue singing and working with the county. So that brought us to what we are working on today, which is management of this county, and with regard specifically to the arts, performing arts in this county. Now, we can actually go ahead and define what management is. We have a clue. Most of us seated here manage the arts in some way. And we can always agree with me that an arts manager is simply an arts administrator. We oversee and coordinate projects. We oversee and coordinate arts performances and even the artists themselves in their operations. Now, some of the titles that we hold as arts managers are like directors, curators, cultural officers. Artists is totally lacking. Hawajui kwamba they can be managed or their arts need to be managed. So we came up with questions regarding this. And we are asking at this point that should these three forms of management, how should these three forms of management function to strengthen the theater arts, especially in Vihiga County and below? From the onset, we kept arguing for a collaborative kind of management, but as we went on with our research, we found that there are many other ways and means of collaboration among these types of managers. And in regard to the arts management, that is sustainable and that is effective, we got to find further that the kind of leadership that is provided should be a matter, that the kind of financial management and strategies that are set apart should also be a matter, that also production and programming of arts ventures should also be a matter when looking into arts management. How are these arts marketed? What are the public relations set apart? Is it possible to manage the arts in different spaces, or to let an artist be marketed in different spaces as a manager? And the other thing is that we looked at the question of logistics, very many logistics, which we'll actually elaborate as we move on. And then the issue of community participation, when it came especially to the county itself. Is it possible that the county is taking the community as part of decision-making with regard to the arts? Or has the county actually left out the community when it comes to talking about the arts? Our previous presenter has actually said something very interesting. Is that management supposed to be we artists ourselves, or should we blame it on someone else? But I am also asking this issue and question about the bill, now not at the national level, but at the county level. Is there some money set apart for the artists to be taken care of from the county level? Dennis?
Thank you. Now let us look at the arts management practices, the specific management practices in Vihiga County, largely populated as Vitu kwa ground. Sivyo? Now, the governing of arts by the county is domiciled in a department we call Gender, Culture, Sports, Youth, and Social Services. And this department is mandated to implement policies that promote talent among the youth. It also to ensure proper management, this department of Vihiga has put the following in place. Jackie Daktari here read the leadership strategies, and of course we realized it
has a working vision, and I will read it word for word, verbatim. The vision goes to be a leader in developing a vibrant and cohesive society, thriving on cultural diversity, social protection, and empowerment for all. A working vision that marries so well with performing art. We also found that the county, rather the department, has a working structure which is lean. At the top we have the governor, we have the county executive committee member, which most of you call waziri. We have the chief officer. Then the department has 3 running directorates with 3 directors. That is the director youth and sports, the director culture, and the director social services. And below them, with interest, we found we have sub-county culture officers and ward-based cultural committees. We also found that one of the management practice is the department has an inclusive department work plan with actually 6 good cultural days in their calendar. They also have youth extravaganza. Their staffs actually participate in Kikoska competitions. That is the Kenya Inter-County Sports and Cultural Association. And they also celebrate national cultural events and celebrations like Madaraka Day. And on that, I'll wish we look at the few events we looked at in pictorials and maybe 2 short videos, please.
That is one of the choirs from Vihiga taking part in a festival.
Thank you. If we could look at the next. We have the other video, kindly. Technical hitch. Maybe we proceed as they try to. Okay.
Introducing to you, Hari Richi, Rhino Beatmaker. Wacha kujiwana makofi wewe.
Thank you. That's a live performance. The pictorials, please, at a glance. That is the Youth Arts Festival that brought together participants from ECD all the way to our TVETs, the technical and vocational education institutions, both in drama, music, and all that. That is our cultural events that are celebrated in December. We also found out that Vihiga has developed policies, and with interest, we looked at their service charter and the Vihiga County Youth Act, which is in place. We looked at their financial management, we looked at their budgeting, and the county executive through Waziri, they prepare budgets which are approved at the county assembly. They have also written very good proposals that have earned them grants and donations. We established that they also have good marketing and public relations strategies. We looked at their human resource management, and true to it, we looked at their hiring processes, training processes, and true to it, they have a lean hiring transparent system, and their officers are trained from time to time, matters performing arts and all that. We also looked at their professional development of their staff. There is something called Kikoska, where all staffs from the 47 counties are involved in competitions, and not all counties actually participate, but Vihiga was one of those counties that participate in that. We looked at community and stakeholder engagement. True to it, they do that. They have public participation fora where they get opinion and views from the public, matters management of performing art in the county, and they get to decide on priorities, whether these arts should be given budgets or not, and all that. I think, Jackie, you can pick up.
So that was the story of arts management by the county. And you can hear it is a story of success. Why? Because everything has been put in place. But what does the artist himself or herself experience? As you can hear, the artist does not exactly get to reach the county to find those. Management by the artist functions in 4 major ways. One of the ways is that they search for their own funding many times. Another way is that the few who are able to get to the county during these events, what happens is that it gets very seasonal and they are not able to have a sustainable way of encountering the county for their finances. They take care of their own logistics, they buy their own costumes, their own instruments, they take care of their own transport and accommodation, they take care of their administrative tasks, for example, handling paperwork, housekeeping and record keeping and other administrative duties. Those we don't mean that the county should do for them, but they can avail some training to further that. They also take care of their own welfare through fundraising. They take, at times, they even go and look for directors to make effective the management of their training. Now, where is the problem? We have said that the story is a success story on the side of the county. But on the side of the artist, it is not a success story. Why? Because there exists a gap between the good story of the county, the good documents that the county holds, and the artist on the ground. Why? Because the county comes up with only seasonal committees. We actually came across some documents that when they had the recent extravaganza, they posted out a call for participation, a call for nomination of people to participate in this. And that only comes seasonally, just at that time. And the other thing is that we have the ward-based administrators who are supposed to be on the grassroots to be able to reach the artists there, speak to the artists, help them to understand and know the role of the county. But these people are totally inactive. They are not remunerated in any way, and they are normally left to only participate when it comes to this time when there are national events and such. The county, like many other government institutions normally experience financial constraints. And when that happens, they decide to take care of what they think are more essential services like healthcare, education, infrastructure, and security, and actually leave out the arts. So the county may be having a budget for the arts, but given that they have those constraints, they will not take care of the arts at all. Looking at the pop artists, some of them have already migrated to other spaces. Nairobi and Kakamega County are some of the spaces where these artists have migrated to. And when that happens, when they have migrated there, they get help from there. But when it comes to the pop artists especially, they have totally ignored the county, and they feel like it is better to self-manage their own arts. There is also an issue of ignorance. I said at the beginning that there are artists who don't even know that there is something like management. So therefore, they will not even talk about that. Especially some of the traditional artists, they may not know that. But we had a group of dancers who came up with, they have a dance troupe that have set apart their management structures so well. And they are aware that the coming of the county to them will only be on a needs base, so they don't have a problem with the county not taking charge and care of them. And then we also had, we looked into the establishment. A few years ago, we had one of the very well-trained Maseno University graduates taking the position of a director of culture in that county. But because of some issues, he let go of the position and went to take another position elsewhere. And since then, the problem is that the staff establishment does not include personnel trained and practicing in the arts. So there is a possibility that there will be no proper information with regard to the arts. Therefore, with this kind of seasonal engagement and with this kind of marginalization of the artist in the county, then there come a lot of effects and impacts of this situation of management on the arts.
Let us look at the effects of the arts management practice on arts practice. Artists continue to suffer financial and other sustainability issues, as noted by the earlier presenter, my friend who has visited France. Arts being considered as a secondary career. I'm sure if you started singing at class 6, your parents will be very surprised at you. Artistic talent and creativity wasted and even killed. Migration of artists to other counties. Actually, Gloria Muliro, the likes of Akina Winja come from Vihiga, but I seldom see them. They have actually relocated to other counties. I see them on TV the way you see them on TV. Quality of arts is going low and low. We have less artistic productions, but besides that, we have also the positive side. Of course, Vihiga County has given platform for beginner artists. Look at artists like Harry Ritchie. Vida comes from Vihiga, by the way. He began performing in such low performances in the county. Very, very basic activities, and now he has risen. It has given Vihiga a more cohesive and unified county. It is an avenue for job opportunities and business opportunities. Dr. proceed.
We are advocating for a sustainable management of the arts. And how will that happen? I will go a little bit academic and say that our paper and our study, our research, was hinged on the theory of sustainable management by Newbert and Dyke, 2016. And they advocate for collaborative management. That there is management of the county, there is also management by the artists of their own arts. But then, if the two collaborated, then that would be workable. Then how does this collaborative management take place? By having enhanced arts education, by having the county borrow a leaf from the national government and have a space perhaps like this to build a space, a county cultural center where operations of the artists can be focused. And then we also thought that we need to have enhanced arts operations in the county, that those that are sustainable, that will be continuous. We need to also have active cultural committees, include artists on management committees. We need that there is a record kept at the county, a record of artists and known by the county as artists that belong to the Vihiga County. We also pray for an increase in funding of the performing artists and for performing activities. We also wish that there is enhancement of management practices of artists. For example, the artists should be able to identify themselves. He says, the previous presenter says, I am sorry I forgot your name, I'm almost asking that, kindly remind me. But then he says that the artist, he himself or herself, should be able to make herself visible, should be able to identify themselves and make the county know that they exist. And then they need to keep improving their own arts practice.
A continuation on that, on collaborative measures. We have brand building, we have publicity, we have marketing campaigns. Actually, an artist can help market a county, and a county government can help market an artist. It is two ways. It is two ways. Networking and relationships, industry connections, collaboration opportunities, funding and financial management, budgeting. Actually, you don't make budgets for artists without including them. You wouldn't really know what they need. Legal and administrative support, legal representation. Artists have had a lot of issues on matters representation for contracts, copyrights, so many of them. Education and professional development. As governments, we can train these guys. We can take them for workshops and all that. We can also give them mental and emotional support. I will not mention the village I come from, but where I come from, it is believed that for you to be an artist, you must be smoking bang. And actually, most artists there, before they come to stage or on stage, they smoke very funny things before they. So they need mental support from us. Jackie, you pick up from there.
We want to make a conclusion. Not only saying that collaborative management is the viable way to go. We think a tailored approach towards management of the artist is the way to go. That we consider the unique needs, the goals, and challenges of each artist and see which way is best. And that is the sustainable management approach that we advocate for. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Zinali and Dennis really decided to stretch the time. However, I felt that what they were discussing was very, very important because these are things we also discuss in Nairobi. I know when Octavius was doing his presentation, he kept on saying, I don't know what happens in Nairobi. And I'm thinking, but the same things you're talking about are probably the same things, people or artists in Nairobi are going through. So thank you so much. Because of constraints of time, I will only allow for 3 questions, but our presenters will be with us so we can be able to network after the panel discussion. 3 questions. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. My name is Wagambi Ikiara, and I have a question to Dr. Shikuku. Yeah, in pertaining censorship, there was a group that ended up being known as Ridiculous, and they had very satirical and almost irreverent references to the government of the day. That was Moi's time. So how did they end up getting away with such almost irreverent performances with a government that wanted to stifle or just gag everybody and whatever they want to have as like artistic expression? Yeah, and also, okay, no, the other one I won't ask because it'll sound like a manifesto, so yeah, cheers.
Thank you, Mugambi. Next, there was a hand somewhere.
Thank you. My name is Trevor Seri. I am an actor from Chisaina Arts, production based at Kenyatta University. I come from Vihiga County, so my question will go to Vihiga County. I am one of the immigrant artists. I also don't smoke bang. So my question is, as a county, which platform have you guys created for us so that we don't migrate Because, for instance, a theater hall, just like this one, forgive my ignorance, is there a platform, a social hall created by the county whereby artists can express their talent? For instance, if I have a show and I want to take it to Vihiga County, will I stage it in my grandmother's backyard? That's my question. Also, a lot of talent comes from Western Kenya at large, Vihiga County being one of them. For instance, if you look at the high school festivals, the drama, music, sports, a lot of talent comes from Western. As a county, what are you doing to ensure that these talents not only sell at home so that people don't migrate? I would love to go back home and work from there. Thank you.
Thank you. The lady in cream.
Hi, my name is Sheila Sila, and my question is going to be directed to Octavius. What's your take on the introduction of links, whereby people can get to watch whatever show you're performing on a stage from the comfort of their seats? Because we are talking about Eldoret, yeah? You have said that most youth, as a matter of fact, most youth in Eldoret have really relocated to Australia and Finland. So you find that shows like TTNT5, the Njugu show, Kina Hat the Band, Wakurugenzi, you find that most artists of ours go to Australia na wanakafunga. You see? So what's your take on the introduction of links? Do you see it as a way of reaching to more larger audience, or do you prefer the human touch when it comes to your audience? Thank you.
There's a lady in yellow here. She looks like she had a burning question.
Members, our panelists, I'm Alice Wafula from Bungoma County, Director Culture and Arts, where you can get Kamabeka, Efumbo, Silili, Litungu. All of those are in Bungoma. We are saying arts has no space in economic, but to me, we are moving there. I started by lobbying to be given land for the purpose of coming up with a theater like this one. I was granted 10 acres of land where we have our cultural center. We are having around 18. Now, to me, I strongly believe what the two, Tongoi and Chaki, have done fact-finding. Your fact-finding are very correct. In this situation, we need the artists with their structured leadership. Then we need the small government called county government. Then we have our DADI, that is national government. If we put the 2 stones, 3 stones, not 2, 3, I'm sure we shall be able to market our arts. And now the question is, we sitting here, we the directors, we the lovers of artists, if we put our heads together, I'm sure what we are crying for, we can reach there. The only issue that I have, I wished that all directors of culture could be here.
Yes.
We are only 3. One from Marsabit, one from Kisii, another one from Bungoma. That is not enough representation. How I wish our national government try to whip us so that we make a form that will be artistic. Kindly, I'm asking that question. And if we can do fact-finding the way Vic has done, every county to come up with a data, we shall be somewhere. Bungoma is where you can get Steve K, Chuakali, Wanyenje, Wanindi, the Pukusu, Namuita, the telling of Pukusus, anaitwa Namuwenge. If she sing, the crowd will move.
Thank you very much. So
the idea is, my question.
Uliza swali alafu yeye kwa sababu masaa yameenda bwana.
My question is, when shall we have that space of joining the three stones?
Thank you very much. Asante sana. To our presenters, there were 4 questions which were very specific. You could answer them, or if you feel like you can also chip into any of the others, please feel free. We can start with Dr. Shikuku.
The question was on why Ridiculous survived the census knife. Ridiculous happened at a time of transition. If you remember very well, Ridiculous picked up from Kenyatta University Culture Week. That 1998, 99, 2000, that is where Nyambane and KJ, right now an MP. That's where they started. Actually, if you read their story, they started in a room in Nyayo. Nyayo is one of the hostels, Nyayo 3, Nyayo 2. That's where they were with a gentleman called Maurice Amateshe in the Kenyatta University Traveling Theatre. So that's where they started to do their jokes, and then they were given a platform to perform during Kenyatta University's Culture Week, and the Vice Chancellor had no problem. He actually liked them so much. Why actually they survived at the university is because Tony, the other arm of Ridiculous, was actually an employee of the university at that time. So those were just seen as jokes within the university, and nobody was really worried about them. It became a little bit of a problem, if you read their story, it became a little bit of a problem when they performed for Moi himself when he came to the university. Of course, you know, at that time, usually the Vice Chancellor is looking at the person on the decks and telling him, you have to look at the Vice Chancellor. If he signals, you pull down everything. So the Vice Chancellor was looking at Moi and looking at this guy who is on the mixer. But Moi was enjoying the show. Whether it was by design or he was actually enjoying it, the Vice Chancellor never told anyone. But he was enjoying it, so he didn't tell this person to pull off the mic. Later on, that is how they went up. Of course, there are people, the people in the police were not happy about it, and they asked them, why are you embarrassing the president, and so on and so forth. But since the president did not have a problem, they could not pin them down. But what made them survive more, at that time we had the technology of the CD, the discs. So they were able to put their work on CD along River Road. They went to the studio and recorded, and then the CD circulated even more than them. And that's how they were able to be heard on television and so on. And so it became too difficult to contain. Remember, censorship is trying to contain something. Here, it has gone beyond the mainstream. You know, we are used to people coming here to perform, so we can censor them from here. We tell Pundo, ensure that that person's license has been revoked. Or they perform at Alliance Fonse, we go to Alliance Fonse Administrator Harsita Waters and tell her, we don't want that play to be performed there. If it is performed, it is you who will be in problems. So you see Pundo and Harsita will fear. But here is a CD that everybody is buying on River Road. How will you censor that? That is how they survived that. The government itself at the top level had no problem. But the law cadre officers had a problem with them, but there's nothing they would have done. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we can clap. Trevor asked a question to Dr. Zinale and Dennis. Is there a platform created to avoid migration? Because there's a lot of talent from Western. What's the county doing about ensuring that we maintain our artists within the county?
Thank you. Trevor, compared Trevor, my friend from Goma, maybe we should not confuse this as a forum of leaders drawn from counties where we have to task them to tell you what they are doing back in the county. This is a team of researchers. We are here to bring you research objectively. And if you are keen, our research on Vihiga cited that the management practices in place are not as exhaustive as we would expect them to be. And we went ahead, just like any other research, and made recommendations to better management practices that can make actually Trevor and the rest stay in the county. But be reminded that it is not the voice of the county speaking, but it is the voice of that research that we conducted. And I think that Tari can remind you of the management practices we actually proposed so that you stay home. Thank you.
Thank you. Not so sure. Okay, will you?
Thank you very much, Trevor. I'm glad we have a representative from the county, and I'd like to mention that there are more representatives here. One of them, Priscilla, there she is. She's one of the artists in Vihiga who is still at Vihiga. Why? Because of viability of her art. And I repeat that one of the recommendations is that the artist, he or herself, needs to be as viable as possible and make the space good enough. It is not the other person's problem, it is your own problem that you remain in the county and make it as good as possible. And you can see one of the presenters here has stayed in his own county, and he's coming here actually to speak about his county. Please stay at your county as much as possible. It is your own decision. It's not a recommendation, but now the second thing that I would say is that we are here, just to respond, we are here to make an advocacy call. Why? Because if the county has not managed a few things about the artists, that is why research is carried out as a form of response. So this is one of the things we're doing, one of the actions that we research about what is happening and bring it to fora such as this. And after that, it is possible that the artists on the ground, and even perhaps the county, on bringing such a research, will be able to let things work. There are things that we have said that the county should seek, of course, already there is what it is doing, but it should seek to make the artists be involved in decision making, therefore be involved in management. And one of the ways to do that is to employ them so that they're part of this county, and the other way is not to make it seasonal like you think they're doing. They should actually make it viable and continuous, an approach, so that the county, the artist is present in the county.
Thank you so much. There's a comment from our online community. I want to join it up with the last question that was asked for Octavius, because it says, it's good work you are doing in Eldoret, and changing the narrative of arts being for jokers is changing. The people are embarrassing theater as a tool for change. That is from Angira Odhiambo. I think I may feel, watu wanatudharau. In Nakuru, there's a whole group called A Bunch of Idiots. I think they sat down and thought, you guys are calling us a bunch of idiots. Let's just call ourselves that and then do what we do best. So the question was, what do you think about the introduction of links? Of links, like people are now being able to go out of the country and do things, and they kafunga. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Yeah, I just like to say I'm more comfortable now answering questions than doing the presentation. I felt like I was rushing. And in my paper, I try to define exactly how the theater in Eldoret looks like. And I define it as deliberate performance by bodies in a space intended for live viewership. That's how I define it. Now, because of, we've had problems with spaces where people can perform. Now, on the question of the links now, because our spaces have not traditionally here, we've been staging plays at hotels and having viewership from people like in Finland, Australia, and whatever they have said. It takes me back to something again I mentioned in the paper, like theater is as old as life, and for some reason we are still here and talking about it and actually asking your question, like, what is links going to do to theater? I refer you to my definition, which says intended for live viewership. Yes, the link might be live, but there is something that you get from actually being there when the performance is happening that you will not get outside. People thought movies will kill theater because then essentially the sets are built, actors go into the sets, the camera takes what's going on in the set. But people still come into the theater to watch performances. Why? I feel like this, and I've taken it up as my personal responsibility to the audience of the people of Eldoret. Of course, with people like, I have to drop names, like Robinson Kiarie, Josiah Kiprop, Cosmos B. I know you don't know these names, but yeah, if you come to Eldoret, you'll know them. To make the performance in such a way that even if you watch it on the Zoom link, live on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, you will want to come and watch it in the space the way the director intended it to be received by an audience. And that's what we strive for in that space a lot. I'm not a champion for the plays in Zoom, especially where we do readings personally, but I like it when we do the plays live in front of a camera as though it were like a movie, so that you also feel, and we leave in things, elements such as the members of the audience laughing while the play is going on, and so on and so forth. And you might think we started this recently, but it actually started like 5 years ago when I was still in undergrad, for example. We had fourth years, people on attachment holiday, more university, we used to have like 6 sessions in school. And people outside school wanted to watch the plays that we used to do in school. So when we did the plays, when they were at home, when they come back to school, they say, yo guys, we want you to do Jesus and the Brides of Judas. We watched it on the link, but we feel like there's something we didn't see. We want to see it live. We didn't see Black Mask, the origins of the Kenyan vigilante. They want to see it live. So I feel like that's the responsibility of making people come to watch the play in the space is that of the creators of the work. And just to add on to what the Vihiga guys are going, I hope we can collaborate with Vihiga one day. Yes, it is. We took it upon ourselves as Eldoret guys, just a group of us, to just do our own thing and not go away from home. That's why you hear me say things like, I'm not interested in an audience that's outside Eldoret, because I feel like our spaces in Eldoret are already not full of our people. So even though we can take a play to Kisumu or Mombasa or here at the National Theatre, when we go back to Eldoret, guys will be like, okay, so what? You took the play to Kenya National Theatre. How does that? But if we do a play for them and then bring it here, they would follow us from Eldoret to come here to watch the play with us again. But if we did the play here and took it back to them, problems. And then, I just want to say this very vaguely. There are politicians in the county. People in Finland and Australia are in the diaspora. Connect the dots.
Thank you very much. So as we finish, I would want each of us to just give a parting shot. As we give the parting shot, Thank you so much, Anne, for your presentation, especially touching on vitiligo. At some point, I was like, I wish this session had happened in the morning when you were discussing about abled differently, people living with disability. But still, it was a timely presentation. Thank you so much. I think half of the time vitiligo doesn't cross our mind. I think because it's not very popular, and when we finally see it, we're like, kwani alichomeka? Yeah, I think you said it at some point, right? Yeah, so I think that it is very important that you were able to bring that to us. Thank you. Just to mention one thing before you guys give us a parting shot. Awinja produced Disco Matanga in Vihiga County. And I just wondered, was there an effect on the people and the county itself after the production? Because, as you said, she's in Nairobi, she's not there, but she did something in Vihiga. So probably we can start with Anne as we go down the line. In like 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I'll begin by saying with the rise of GNZ and the demonstrations that have been taking place, the literature teachers or let's say theater producers have been really accused of whatever we teach in high school, the betrayal in the city, burdens, tumbo lisilo, shiba, all those kind of things. And for a long time, we can say the literatures that are taught in high school, they center around politics, gender, if you have to talk about Blossoms of the Savannah, A Doll's House. But now we need to have a serious conversation now on the way forward, where the curriculum developers need now to start thinking about the issues of the teenies, the youth, like what Dr. Zippy Okoth talked about, the issues to do with the visually impaired, the issue to do with the physically challenged, issues to do with the children who are stigmatized. I think this is a narrative, and now we need to start talking about those issues in high school. And now we go away from politics, because even the current setup, they are doing parliaments of all, political. So we need to now start looking at other issues that are emerging, and they are very critical.
Thank you. Dr. Shikuku.
The idea of making this presentation was part of the social impact of of the art and how it affects our thinking. I'm of the different view that perhaps even we are not talking enough of politics. My thought would be that we should continue talking about politics as well as social issues, FGM, the girl child education that emerges in Blossoms of the Savannah, among others. We actually should keep talking about these things, because when we loosen a little bit, the government actually wants to take that space. So I feel we need more of that, because theater and performance, as I noted earlier on, is a force that unites people. And once we unite, you remember the mantra of the Gen Z, when we get our voice, they lose their power. Theater is one of the places that gives people, theater and performance gives people voice, people who may not have that kind of voice. It gives people agency, people who may not have that kind of agency. It makes people agents. And therefore, I feel we need to talk about it more so that we secure the benefits we have secured right now. You can come and do any production on this stage right now, and no government officer will come to tell you to stop doing that performance. Can you see now how far we have come? Can you imagine David Mulwa standing there as the divine drama in Muntu and seeing 3 guys walking in and knowing, shit, we are done. Especially him and Imbuga and Austin Bukenya. Austin Bukenya coming all the way from Uganda, they would have simply expelled him. So imagine him thinking, I have lost my job at KU already. So, and yet I have acted on this stage, the Ireland, and then I'm imagining myself seeing a police officer walking there and then stopping it and then reporting me to Professor Olive Mugenda or Wainaina telling him that guy should stop his work. Can you see that kind of imagination? So we should celebrate the wins that we have right now and build on them. Thank you.
Thank you. Octavius?
First of all, sorry, I've been concentrating a lot of energy in this space. I hope it's not intrusive. As a parting shot, be who you are so we know what you are not. I like to tell my actors that we had a carnival in Eldoret, and I was telling someone this in the morning. We had a day for professionals. Doctors came wearing their lab coats. Engineers came with their rulers. Nurses came with their uniforms. Farmers came with their tools. And then now as actors, we asked ourselves, what will we be dressed as? And that took a whole afternoon of deliberation. And we might point fingers at, like for example, in Eldoret, we really used to point the finger at the National Theatre and say, yo, KNT should help us and all these things. But in the end, it opened our eyes and said, we actually have a lot of the things that we are trying to ask for, and the opportunity should find us on the way. That's what we go by in those hills of Rift Valley. So, like, maybe just to encourage anyone here, if you're feeling like that, like, it's in your hands. It's mostly in your hands. Like, opportunity does not choose when to come. It's in your hands. Yeah. So whether you're doing plays for people in Finland or you're doing plays for people in your home, in Eldoret we stage plays in one of our producers' backyard as an exclusive show without this space here. We got bullied, oh, you guys don't have theater spaces, the things you're doing are not theater, and all those things, but we were never deterred by that. And I just really like to thank the Kenya National Theatre for giving us this space to do this, and yeah, I can't wait to come back here next time with more things to tell you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Octavius. Dennis?
Thank you. Theater without an audience is dead. It's a very bad feeling. Today, you were my audience. You turned up for me. I am today because you are. Until next time, see you guys. Thank you.
Asante sana, Dennis. Last but not least, Dr. Zinale.
Thank you very much. Mine is just to say that charity begins at home. It will always begin at home. Much as we would like to say that we will begin away, let's know that we are who we are because we were made at home. And let's visit our spaces, our regional spaces, and make theater there. It is also not bad to migrate and go to other spaces to get more educated and to uplift our arts. And secondly, I would like to say that all counties, every other specific development is aware that there is talent, and especially when there comes a time when there are pandemics. For example, during the time of COVID-19, the response, the rapid response by theatre artists was just amazing. You people are great, and I want to tell you that we begin this by managing our own theatre, managing ourselves, and then go and cast the net wider, and let's manage our theatre as we go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please, let's give this panel a round of applause. As we wind up, as they stand, don't move, wait. Si lazima msimame mpigwe picha nini nini. Watu watajuaje mlikuwa huko. I think one of Madam Wafula mentioned something, and I have actually thought about it, and I'm like, I don't know, Kevin, if it's possible, just to get the directors of culture from our 47 counties to come together and just say what is their problem. Because we cannot have directors of culture, but there's nothing cultural happening in the counties. Yet, as Dr. has said, we have a lot of talent in all our counties. So do they need to come together so that they just hear what the others are doing, so that they just also know how can they can help each other? Madam has mentioned she lobbied and was given 10 acres of land. I want to hear the next time when she comes over that she lobbied and a whole building was built on that 10 acres of land, right? Yeah, so that next time when people are saying they are going for performances, Bungoma becomes a venue of choice. So thank you so much, guys. I know time is far gone, but thank you so much for being an awesome, for being an awesome audience. I would love my panelists to stand so that they can have a photo session. Then I'll ask Dr. Shikuku to put down his laptop and take over as the controller of programs. Oh, okay, Kevin. So thank you.
Thank you very much, our panelists and Dr. Suki. As they pose for their photo, we will go out for tea. It is served, and then we come back for an amazing band performance. Yeah, so don't go. We still have a lot installed for you. Asanteni sana. Let's have tea. In the next 10 minutes, we'll be ready for you.